All right, hello everyone. This morning, August 7th, let's analyze how BTC and ETH will move. And we will have views on whether to long or short, how to long, where to short, and how we will enter and exit trades, everyone. And all of my analyses and assessments are just personal opinions and should not be considered investment advice. You must take full responsibility for your own ability to enter and exit trades. And now let's start analyzing what the market trend will be like this morning. Here on the screen, we see USDTD, the market share of the dollar. There are 30 minutes left until the USDTD candle closes. So it's likely that this morning we will see USDTD close a daily candle. It's a green candle with quite strong upward momentum. And we see that as USDT.D, or the dollar's market share, is increasing, BTC is decreasing to the 64,240 region. Since the dollar's market share is trending upwards, it's highly likely that BTC will decrease this morning. Now let's continue observing the H4 chart to analyze further. Here we can see that USDT.D has reached the H4 support zone. This is a support zone that it has tested many times without breaking through. You can see one bottom here, a second bottom here with a false breakout, a third bottom here, and a fourth bottom here. It has tested this level 4 times and has held up quite well. We can see it's moving upwards, and we are expecting to see how high USDT will go this morning. Please note that as the dollar dominance increases, bids or asks will decrease, everyone. So we see that USDT on the H4 or daily chart is trending upwards, and we are wondering how high it will go. Let's continue to observe on the H1 chart. On H1, we are seeing a structure of lower highs and lower lows. See, lower highs and lower lows, everyone. If we take the time to draw out an Elliott wave pattern, we will see it unfold just like this. Currently, we see the Elliott wave is in a downtrend like this, and we can see the Elliott wave structure is running like this. If it runs like this, we expect wave 3 or 4, meaning the wave currently in progress, and we are expecting this retracement wave of USDTD to potentially run up to 8.48% to 8.5%. It is highly likely that it will reach around 8.5%. This 8.5% zone is also the resistance zone for USDTD. If we draw a line across, this 8.5% area is the temporary resistance zone for both the H1 and H4 timeframes, everyone. On the H4 timeframe, look here, if we draw a line from this peak, right? These peaks over here, these peaks over here, right? These are the bottoms, and this is a false breakout peak. And next, USDTD could potentially run up to 8.5%. The range from 8.48%, everyone, up to 8.5% is the range we expect USDTD to rise to. And if it goes up here and fails to break through, it will continue to turn back down to 8.25%. So what will happen to our BTC at that point? And now, looking at BTC on the H1 timeframe, let's draw its Elliott wave, this impulse wave, everyone. I am expecting it to pull back to this zone, everyone. Then it will continue to push up to the 66.5 thousand zone, everyone. Meaning at this wave of mine, I am expecting waves 3 and 4 to be the corrective waves within the H1 impulse wave of BTC. And I am expecting it to pull back to somewhere around 63.8 thousand and then continue to push up. At this 63.8 thousand, 63.9 thousand zone, we have a zone. Here, everyone, right here, we have a support zone, okay? If we draw it out, over here is this peak. The peak that hasn't been reached yet. And here we have these bottoms going down, 1 bottom, 2 bottoms, right? Over here, it continues to be 3 bottoms, right? This is the support zone for BTC. And the zone we are observing is the 63.7 thousand to 63.9 thousand zone, everyone. If it holds well in this 63.7 thousand to 63.9 thousand zone and forms a reversal candlestick pattern to continue rising, then we will see BTC continue to run the Elliott wave 4 through 5 impulse wave. Currently, it is moving towards wave 3-4, right? If it can hold well in the zone from 63,700 to 63,800, then we will see it continue to rise to wave 4-5 up to the 66,500 zone. At this point, it's 66,500, everyone. Here, is that clear? And in parallel with that, we see USDTD. We are expecting with the Elliott wave decline like this. We see its wave 3 to 4. We are expecting it to rise to 8.5%. And when it rises to 8.5%, it is equivalent to our BTC dropping to 63.7K to 63.8K. Everyone. If USDTD rises to 8.5% in this zone and holds well there, we can see that it will continue its structure of lower highs and lower lows, continuing to head towards the 8.25% zone. If it holds well in this 8.5% zone and continues to return to the 8.25% zone, then our BTC will reach the 63,700 to 63,800 zone and continue to rise. And it will rise to 66,500. So let's observe this morning to see exactly how it will move. Next, let's look at the H4 time frame. Here on the H4, we saw yesterday that it was holding up quite well at the 65,000 zone. At the 65,000 zone, there is a resistance area and it reached 65,000 and held up quite well, right everyone? It held up quite well. It still hasn't broken through the 65,000 zone. And it has formed a reversal candlestick pattern, currently testing the area below. That's what we're hoping for, right? And what about the daily candle? For the daily candle, we also need to calculate a little bit, everyone. In the daily candle, we can see that down here we have a red zone, right? This support zone. And here we consistently have bullish candlestick patterns, so we expect it to rise again this morning. Okay, everyone? Today, with the pattern of green candles, it's highly likely that this candle will close as a red candle today, right? For the daily candle, we expect it to retrace a bit, then continue to rise according to the Elliott impulse wave structure on H1. So in summary, on the daily candle, we see that the bullish momentum is still there and quite strong. I expect that this morning this candle will correct, and for the next candle we will see it rise again. Meaning that today the daily candle will close as a red candle, and these days it's likely still a green candle, and that's what we expect. So my view for BTC this morning is still bullish, and where should we enter the trade? We will enter the trade in the range of 63,700 to 63,800. If this zone holds well and forms reversal candlestick patterns such as bullish engulfing, hammer, pin bar, dragonfly doji, or other reversal patterns indicating that the buyers continue to prevail, then we will open a long position here. We will open the first position at the 63,800 zone, and of course, we will have a second position. We will open the second position at the 63,300 zone, and we will cut our losses at the 63,000 zone. If I were to enter a trade this morning, that is how I would do it. Of course, we must manage our capital very well, and we should risk 1 to 2% of our capital per trade. If it were me, I would enter one position at 63,700 with 2% of my capital, and if it continues to drop to 63,300, I would add another 2% of my capital, and of course, there must be a stop loss. Set the stop loss at the 63,000 zone. In this market, no matter how good your analysis is, we still have a win-loss ratio of 7 to 3 or 6 to 4, right? So we must manage our capital. Manage capital by setting our entry orders very carefully based on our criteria. After that, we can allocate our capital reasonably. We should only use 1 to 2% of our capital per trade and use leverage appropriately. In my opinion, 50 times or 30 times leverage is safe, while anything higher is quite risky. And of course, we must have a stop loss to preserve capital in case of strong volatility. So this morning, my view after analyzing BTC and USDTD on the H1, H4, and daily charts is that the bullish momentum for BTC may still persist on the daily candle. And on the H1 chart, it is currently in a structure of higher highs with Elliott impulse waves. So I expect this pullback, this wave 3 or 4 pullback, to potentially reach the 63,700 to 63,800 range, hold well there, and then continue to rise. That's the view on BTC. Now, what about ETH? For ETH, let's look at the daily candle. On the daily candle, ETH is still holding up quite well at the support level, which is 1,840. And today we can see that ETH is likely to close with a very small candle, with quite weak downward momentum on the daily chart. With the potential for the candle to close like this, we might see ETH go down a bit further, and we'll see where it could potentially drop to. Here we can see that above, the 1,927 level acts as a resistance zone on the H4 timeframe, and it has failed to break above it multiple times. So this morning we can see that it is currently closing with a red candle preceded by a series of trend reversal candles. We expect that in the short term, ETH will retrace to this area. In the short term, I am expecting ETH to retrace to the 1,878 level. And let's look at the H1 time frame. On the H1, if it breaks through 1,878, it will continue to go down to 1,840. So for ETH this morning, we will observe two entry points. One point is 1,878. If it holds this area well, we will open a position. For ETH, I will only open a single position and we can use 2% of our capital. As for leverage, let's keep it small, maybe 30x or 50x, so we can better manage its volatility. Because ETH's volatility is quite strong, we need to be cautious. So this morning for ETH, I will wait for a position at the 1,878 area. If it holds well and shows a strong bullish reversal candlestick pattern, we will enter the position here and we will set our stop loss somewhere around 1,860, everyone. For ETH, my view remains a long position. Because we can see on the H4 here, on the H4 or the daily chart, its momentum is still quite good, especially on the daily candle. So I think ETH will drop down a bit. In parallel with BTC, we see that for BTC, the expectation is that it will return to the 63,700 to 63,800 area, and then BTC will rise again. So that means if BTC rises again, ETH will also rise again, right? Therefore, this morning we can observe BTC. If it starts to rise again, we can check where ETH is at that moment to see if we can enter a trade, right? If BTC breaks through the 63,700 to 63,800 range, then this ETH will also break through this 1,878 area and head down to 1,840. Therefore, this morning we will observe ETH at these two levels and keep an eye on BTC. Once BTC is ready for an entry, we will observe ETH further to see where we can enter. For example, if BTC drops to the 63,700 to 63,800 range and ETH drops to this 1,878 level and then BTC continues to rise, ETH should hold up well at this level and continue to rise as well. But if BTC breaks through the 63,700 zone, then ETH will likely break through this 1,878 level as well, heading down to 1,840. So let's keep an eye on these two zones to see which one is suitable for an entry, everyone. It all depends on BTC, okay, everyone? When BTC rises, ETH almost always rises, and when BTC falls, ETH also falls. It's not always the case, but the probability is very high. So if BTC rises, ETH will rise, okay? And if BTC falls, ETH will fall. That is my analysis for this morning. If you find this helpful, please click subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell to receive new videos every day.